I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, A Roadmap for Meeting All Stakeholders' Needs When Reviewing Retirement Plan Design, which is part of our ongoing public sector webinar series. I'm now pleased to introduce our speakers today, Kim Nichols, Segal SVP, Consulting Actuary and National Public Sector Retirement Practice Leader, and Rocky Joyner, Segal VP and Actuary. I will now turn things over to Kim, who will begin today's presentation.
Thank you. Today's a good time to be talking about plan design, given that we should be learning about the GASB final standards concerning plan accounting for public sector pension plans. So we're seeing a lot of potential change in the public sector retirement area, and our talk today is about plan design. So we're going to be going through the steps to undertake a plan design project, basically the approach, getting together with the stakeholders, the basic decision-making process, the tools that are available, and the way that you can get to your retirement redesign destination. One of the first steps that should be taken in a plan design process is that once the stakeholders are gathered together is to listen to their goals and develop a set of goals. Now, you may find that depending upon the stakeholders, there might be conflicting goals that need to be worked out. And what's shown on this slide is a sample of some goals for a public sector pension plan. In this case, the goal is to structure a sustainable retirement program that supports the entity's constituency needs and provides meaningful retirement benefits to workers. And this group decided that in order to meet those goals, the benefit program would need to be in place that would be able to attract, motivate, and retain the existing high-performing workers. Another goal would be that the annual contribution should be predictable and not be volatile to the extent that that's doable from year to year. Importantly, the goal is to decrease the unfunded actuarial accrued liability. Another way to say that is to increase the funded position of the plan with a goal of 100% funding over some time period. Another goal would be to determine what the appropriate income replacement target is for a career employee, and then determine the sources of that retirement income target, in particular what portion of it will be funded by the employer benefit programs. Coupled with that, encouraging and helping employees save for their own retirement to supplement the employer's retirement benefit. And then once the plan design is decided upon, to then communicate the new benefit, the value of the new benefit structure, and the changes to the retirement benefit structure. So it's kind of stepping back here. What are the basic types of retirement plans? Well, basically there's two broad categories that I'm sure you're all familiar with. A defined benefit plan, which, just like the name says, the benefit is defined, so it focuses on benefit security, but the contributions to fund that defined benefit are not defined. But that's what is solved for. The other broad type is a defined contribution. Again, here it's right in the definition of the word. The contribution is defined, but the benefit is not. And this type of a benefit plan focuses on wealth accumulation or an account balance. And there's many types of defined benefit plans. There's final average salary pay plans, which is a typical public sector plan. A career average salary plan, where instead of the salary being averaged over the final 3 or 5 years, here the salary is averaged over the entire career. A flat dollar plan, and a cash balance plan. I'm sure that many of you have heard of cash balance plans and think of those as hybrid plans because they look like a defined contribution plan, but really a cash balance plan is a defined benefit plan, which we'll get into more detail later. In a defined benefit plan, generally all the risks are borne by the employer. And I say generally because in some cases, the employees could be bearing a part of the risk if their contribution fluctuates periodically based upon the valuation results. But generally, employees' contributions are fixed and the employer's contribution is the one that fluctuates. And these risks in a defined benefit plan include wage inflation risk, just general inflation risk, particularly post-retirement, investment rate risk, the investment risk itself, how the assets do, longevity risk, meaning how long people live, and incentive and regulatory risks. On the defined contribution side, which these types of plans include 401k plans, which we know about in the private sector, 403b and 457 plans, which are public sector plans, and then matching contribution plans. Generally, the risks here are borne by the employees. And the risks for a defined contribution plan are the same as for a defined benefit plan, and they're listed here. But in addition, there are a few more risks in a defined contribution plan that don't exist in a defined benefit plan. and they include non-participation risk. In other words, if an employee decides not to participate in the defined contribution plan, there's a risk that the employee won't have investment or retirement income. Leakage risk, which is the risk that an employee will take out money prior to retirement and spend it on something other than retirement. And then willpower risk. The risk, that meaning the risk to stay with the defined contribution funding strategy and stick with it. Finally, hybrid plans are a combination of a defined benefit plan and a defined contribution plan, and hybrid plans can take many forms. And generally, in a hybrid plan, the risks are shared between both the employee and the employer. The structure of a hybrid plan determines how that risk is shared.